Hello, I'm David Hepworth, and this is my new book, or a proof of my new book, Overpaid, Oversexed and Over There. It's about British acts in the United States from 1963 to 1983. As you'll appreciate, usually when you've got a new book out, it's customary to go and talk at literary festivals or maybe in bookshops to meet readers, sign copies and so forth. As you'll appreciate, that's pretty difficult in the current situation. And so what I hope to do as a bit of a substitute is using the miracle of this platform to do a series of stories, observations, vignettes about the period covered by the book, and also offer those people who want it the opportunity to get a signed copy. More details of that later on. First, on with the show. When Bob Dylan's first album came out in 1962, he was pictured on the cover wearing this very distinctive cap, which I suppose associated him with the tradition of physical labour, which is rich when you consider that, like lots of rock stars, he'd never done a hand's turn of said physical labour in his life. Anyway, it might have associated him with an engine driver or possibly his hero Woody Guthrie. In Europe, these would have been referred to as Greek fishermen's caps, and it wasn't long before in the back pages of the New Musical Express or the Record Mirror you could send away for such a cap, which would be called by then a Dylan cap, and then about a year later a Donovan cap. Funnily enough, when the Beatles arrived in the United States in 1964, they arrived with John Lennon wearing just such a cap, as if in a secret signal to Bob Dylan that he belonged in the same fraternity. By 1964, by the middle of 1964, the Beatles and Bob Dylan had famously met up in a hotel where Bob Dylan famously introduced them to marijuana and also famously said that he'd always thought that they were singing in I Want to Hold Your Hand, I Get High, whereas in fact they were singing I Can't Hide. But the two acts were immensely aware of each other and always trying to emerge slightly with the upper hand in the relationship. The Beatles were enthralled by the things that Bob Dylan managed to write songs about. Bob Dylan, for his part, was enthralled by the way the Beatles managed to make music sound, and so the two had a huge influence on each other. And by the end of 1964, the Beatles had repaid the debt to a certain extent by releasing Beatles for Sale, which starts off with three quite downbeat songs, No Reply, I'm a Loser, and Babies in Black, all of which owe in varying proportions a debt to Bob Dylan. And the following year, Bob Dylan sort of responds with this album, in which he's featured on the cover looking anything but like a working man. This time he's looking like an urban sophisticate, surrounded by magazines and LPs and in the company of a beautiful woman in a very beautiful home. And for the first time he records extensively with an electric rock and roll band. He's suddenly in the same game as the Beatles. He's trying to compete in the same charts as the Beatles. He's trying to get played on the same radio programs as the Beatles. And he calls this record, not insignificantly, Bringing It All Back Home, as if to say that this is America reaching up to repossess the music that Europe has kind of temporarily stolen away from it. Of course, it wasn't as simple as that, because by then, all the music seemingly was being made in the same headspace, which was halfway between the UK and the USA, and the second phase of the British invasion had begun. If you've ordered my book, either online or via your local bookshop, please get in touch with me via the email underneath this and send me your address, and I'll be happy to send you a signed, customised bookplate that you can put inside it. Thanks very much.